I'm Phil Wood. I'm a partner with Comedia in the UK. Before that, I was director of the Creative Town Initiative in Huddersfield.
Okay, thanks. Why is creativity important to cities for you, Phil?
Creativity is important for cities because it's an asset, it's a resource, it's a tool, it's a way of thinking, it's a way of looking again at your city, and particularly at its problems, at its weaknesses, at its inadequacies, and maybe thinking, maybe they're not so difficult after all. Maybe, in fact, the very things that we think are our weaknesses could have hidden in them potential strengths. And I know that because I've seen it happen in my town, and I've worked in towns around the world where we've tried to make that happen too.
Thanks very much. In your opinion, are there any easy wins that the individuals in a city like Copenhagen could do to make their city more creative?
I don't really believe in easy and quick wins. Yes, there's lots of things that you can do to grab people's attention, to have a moment, to get them to listen, but you've got to have a good story behind that. You've got to have a credible story, and good credible stories aren't created overnight. Around brainstorming sessions, the best stories that work for towns and cities are the ones that grow out of strong roots, where people have been working together, building confidence, building trust, building the ability for people to go out there and take risks. That's where creativity in cities comes from, and I'm afraid there's no shortcut for that. That takes time, and I'm glad because there's nothing better than feeling that you've been part of something that's maybe taken 5, maybe 10 years, and really seeing that come to fruition. Believe me, that's far more enjoyable, far more sustainable than quick wins.
Thank you. Finally, the notion of the creative city has been around for a few years now. Do you see the whole concept as kind of tiring, and is there something that's replacing the original concept of the creative city? The
creative city as a brand has been around for some time now, I guess, since Charles Landry, Franco Bianchini talked about it in the mid-90s. Obviously it's gone mega with the likes of Richard Florida, but I'd like to ask people, do they really know what the creative city idea is? Have they really thought beyond rather shallow notions of city boosterism and creative industries? Actually, that's 10% of what the creative city means to me.
Yeah.
And I don't see many cities really going below that and really getting into what Charles Landry and other people really meant by the creative city concept, which is how creative are the governance structures, how creative is the whole approach to renewable energy, to connecting that to what's going on in the education system, to connecting that to what's happening in the social sphere, in the whole area of transport and mobility. Can you see what I'm saying? A creative city is a holistic city. A creative city is not a machine, it's an ecology. It's about starting to understand that if you do something in one part of that ecology, it has consequences elsewhere. Most of the time we see cities lumbering around doing something and then getting a shock when it comes back and bites them on the butt later on, because they never really thought about this holistic connection. A creative city is one that thinks and works holistically, understands what it's doing, And believe me, we have only scratched the surface of doing that. So, yes, Creative City may be a tired concept, and it's coming for justifiable criticism for this 10% of the Creative City that most people talk about. So maybe we do need to give it a new term. Fine, but there's still enormous depths to be explored.
Yes. You've worked a bit around the concept of the intercultural city. Do you see that as a wider and broader way of working with cities than the creative city, or is it a different way to focus on the city?
It certainly comes out of my understanding of how cities and ecologies work. At one level, the intercultural city is specific in as much as it's concerned with the increasing migration and diversity and complexity of cultures within cities. And so I'm working at a very practical level with mayors and community groups to work with them to see that there is opportunity and advantage in diversity and not simply fear and all the traumas that we currently connect with diversity. That beyond that there are opportunities for cities to grasp from the very fact that they are a rich mix of languages and cultures and outlooks, because I believe that from that, and this goes back to my very basic understanding of creativity, is that creativity grows out of dissonance, it grows out of difference, it grows out of the combination and sometimes the clash of different ways of seeing the world. And so the intercultural city is about equipping the city to actually appreciate that, to manage that, indeed to manage the potential conflict that grows out of that, and through that process, hopefully, to gain the prizes of new concepts, new innovations. People in the private sector understand that. People deliberately put together mixed teams now in the hope of achieving those creative breakthroughs. Obviously, a city is a far more complex entity than any business, but I believe the same opportunities are there for social innovations, for learning new ways about how we can live together through the very fact that in our cities now we have 100, 150 different nations living together. So, in order to do that, we have to start thinking beyond the rigid concepts of integration and migration management. It's not what it's about. It's going back to my original concept of a creative city, which is understanding that we're in a complex ecology and that actually interculturality is the same as interdisciplinary work. So it's about bureaucracies working in lateral ways. It's about different disciplines, different knowledge bases, people working across, understanding that we as beings, we have multiple intelligences. Stop building a society that's based on very rigid ideas of IQ and technical knowledge. Why can't we understand that as human beings we function in many different ways? A creative intercultural city is one that recognises and harnesses the multiple knowledges and intelligences that we as human beings are capable of producing.
Thank you, that's really great.